Welcome back. In interesting viral news, home surveillance camera captures the moment a 17-year-old rescued her dog after a huge bear grabbed it by its vest to try to protect her own cubs. The teen spoke to CNN following the video going viral.
A mama bear protecting her cubs proves no match for a 17-year-old girl protecting her cubs' dogs in a TikTok video that has gone viral. Watch how this unfolded. Is your heart beating? Mine is. That was Haley Morenico, and this is Haley Morenico. You saw her there pushing the bear off the wall, scooping up her dogs, and here she is with the littlest one. Haley, thank you for joining us this morning.
Of course, hello.
Okay, what was going through your mind in that moment we just watched?
Well, honestly, there was nothing really going through my mind except that I had to protect my dogs. The bear, she was picking up this dog, Valentina, and she was literally off of the ground, and I had to do what I had to do, so I knelt down and I had about, I'd say, 2 seconds to think, and the first thing that popped into my head was to push the bear off the ledge.
You make it sound matter of fact. You basically just pushed, you went and fought a bear, Haley, to save your dog. I mean, what possessed you to do that?
Well, as I was saying, this dog, Valentina, she was in danger, really, and she's so important to the family. She's my mother's emotional support animal, and I couldn't bear to let anything happen to her because I know, like, the pain would have been way too much for, like, my mom to handle, and really, like, I think that I did this for her.
Yeah, I mean, you clearly did, right? This is her sweet 3-year-old Yorkie. And did it register for you in that moment? I mean, what was it like being so close to that bear? Just can you describe that to us? We get kind of a long shot here, but what was it like?
Well, when I knelt down, I was literally face to face with her, and that was when I had to think. I didn't really think up until then, and that's when I got the idea to push her. And, like, I had to push her with a pretty good amount of force, but it was just enough that she was able to lose her balance and she was able to fall off to the other side. She got off really quickly, but those few moments that I had, that's what let me, like, run away with my dogs and my life, really.
I think I see your finger in a splint there.
Yeah. This is from when I pushed her. I think I jammed it somehow, but really I didn't feel the pain until afterwards. Like, all the madness and the adrenaline, it made me feel anything, really.
That report from CNN. Approximately 60 public officers have recently graduated after successfully completing the first of 3 modules of a basic Mandarin certification program. The course was conducted online over a 12-week period and was facilitated by the Embassy of the Republic of China on Taiwan in collaboration with the Department of the Public Service. Module 1 was aimed at assisting learners with no prior Mandarin background in acquiring basic Mandarin language skills for verbal communication. During the brief graduation ceremony, participants showcased their newly acquired Mandarin language skills by participating in oral dialogue in Mandarin. The ambassador, Peter Shen, commended participants who overcame the challenges of learning a new language while working full-time. The basic Mandarin program continues later this month with the 60 participants of Module 1 moving on to Module 2, while another cohort of 40 public officers will be commencing Module 1. Malaysia has entered a strict nationwide lockdown as COVID infections rise and vaccination rates remain low. Only essential businesses are open, most schools have been closed, and people can only go out for necessities in the Southeast Asian country.
Malaysia has reported more than 7,000 new infections in just the past 24 hours, and deaths that occurred in just the last month make up almost half of the country's official death toll. We'll hear some reaction from Malaysians to the restrictions imposed.
I think even with the new restrictions, the airports are still open, so there's still a potential that COVID can spread while people are struggling under the lockdown.
The lockdown has been imposed too late. For me, it should have been imposed during Ramadan, when there were fewer cases and people didn't move around as much.
Well, our Southeast Asia correspondent Jonathan Head sent us this update.
Well, Malaysians are wearily contemplating going back to the very strict lockdown they experienced in the early weeks of the pandemic last year. It means that, to all intents and purposes, all public life is shut down, shopping malls are shut, people can only leave their homes if they have to, just 2 people at a time, and they cannot travel more than 10 kilometres from those homes. There will be police roadblocks, 800 of them around the country, enforcing these very strict movement control orders. It's bound to have a bad effect on the economy. It's a step the government in Malaysia did not want to take. They had been hoping for something of an economic rebound after seeing the economy shrink by 5.5% last year. But they are dealing with COVID case numbers going up much, much faster than they experienced last year. To give you an idea, by the end of last year, total COVID cases had reached just over 100,000 in Malaysia in 9 months. They've gone up now to well over 500,000 in just the first 5 months of this year. For the first time last month, they experienced more than 1,000 deaths. This is a trend that is worrying. Even though Malaysia has a relatively well-resourced health system, its intensive care units are now near capacity. And what's worrying people is how long will this lockdown last? It's supposed to be for 2 weeks, but no one knows, given the much higher infection rates now, whether those 2 weeks will be enough. But overhanging what Malaysia is going through is a much bigger problem, which is that it cannot get enough vaccines to get enough of its population vaccinated. So far, it's only vaccinated 3.5% of the population fully, around 6% with 1 dose. And even that's much better than neighbours like Thailand and Vietnam, which have barely begun vaccinating. A lot of that is simply because, like so many countries, you just can't buy enough vaccine. The Malaysians have been buying from many, many different sources. This whole region had far fewer infections last year than most of the rest of the world. Here in Thailand and in Vietnam, they did remarkably well at containing COVID, at getting case numbers down almost to 0, and they assumed they had more time. They too are seeing very rapid increases in COVID infections now, and they're having to build up their vaccine programs as fast as they can.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. When we return, the latest weather forecast.